Hello, my name is Debbie. I'm OwlandGatorStitcher. Welcome to Flosstube number 61. Today is Friday, October 13th, 2023. This is a video mainly about cross stitch, sometimes what I'm reading and watching as well. I hope everyone has had a good couple of weeks. I attended the Queen City Stitch Retreat, which had the Mirabilia focus this past weekend, and that was a lot of fun. I'm really glad I had a chance to go, both to meet Nora Corbett as well as to see again or meet a lot of really new not new stitchers, but stitchers who I had not met before. Maybe some of them I had interacted with online. Most of them I had not, but it was just a great chance to meet a lot of people. I'm not going to do a full retreat recap. There's lots of great videos out there. I'm going to direct you to two videos in particular, which I think are unique, and I'll have them listed below. One of them is from Catherine, the Needleberry Stitcher. She filmed the Q&A session that we have with Nora Corbett. It does take about 45 minutes, but it's so worth listening to. It's just, I love listening to an artist and their inspiration, how they take what they see in their mind's eye and translate that to a cross stitch pattern. And it's just a lot of fun to hear about that creative process. And how being a cross stitch designer has sort of influenced some of the decisions that she has made. And then also I'm going to link another video. I can't remember which one did it, if it was Maggie or Amy, one of the two, has a really great video of the brag table. So both of those, I think, are, if you're at all interested in Mira's or Mirabilia or Nora Corbett patterns, are really worth listening to. So I'm just going to give a really short recap of what I did there. So I arrived probably about an hour before the retreat started. Fortunately, all my flights were, well, my flight was on time. I know not everyone was so fortunate. And, checked into the hotel, the room was ready, went down to the lobby, sat with a couple of people who I hadn't met before, but I just sat down and we started talking stitching because that's what you do. And then when the room opened up, I grabbed my name tag. I was looking for a friend of mine, and so I was sort of scanning the room and I didn't see her. So someone called me over and said, "Hey, we got a spot at our table. Why don't you come sit with us?" So that's where I sat, and it was great. So at my table was Anne, Susan, Janet, Jessica, and Sally. And I have met Janet. That's Janet Jabber. I had met her before at a retreat last year, so it was great to have more time with her as well. And I've interacted a lot with Jessica from Stitches of Sass. We've had a lot of online interactions, but never had a chance to meet in person, so that was great, as well as to meet Sally, Susan, and Anne, new friends who I probably liked pictures they put up on Facebook, but it wasn't people I had chatted with before. So it was great to meet them as well. We just had a lot of fun laughing and stitching, or probably not stitching as much as we thought we would, as you never do stitch that much at a retreat, but just a lot of fun. I also, the first night, I went out to dinner with Anne and Susan, as well as Denise from Black Ribbon Stitch Studio. I think that's the formal name, the official name of her channel. So Denise is as nice and as funny as she comes across in her videos. So it was a lot of fun just to have a chat with them the first night. And the first night at the retreat was really low key. The next day was the day that we all got a chance to, I don't want to say one-on-one, but like they called us to go by tables and meet Nora Corbett. And she would sign up to two things. We were one of the last tables to go, so we knew that we were gonna be towards the end. And they, in fact, I don't think they realized how long it would take to go through all of it. They gave her a nice long break, but by the time she got to us, I have to say, she was very gracious and wonderful, but you could tell it's sort of exhausting when this is not something you do on a regular basis, to meet over 150 people or something and sign all of these things. So I got the retreat pattern signed, as well as another one that I will show you that I stitch on while I was at the retreat. And then she did her Q&A as well. I can't remember. I think that may have been the second day, in fact. But I also had a chance just to go around and admire the stitching. The brag table was out of this world. They had to get extra tables just so they could show everything. And even then, people who didn't have items that were framed, there are people who stitch almost exclusively Mirabilia, Nora Corbett's, and so they just had stacks on the table, and so you would have to sort of very gently with clean hands go through and flip and just look at it. And it's just stunning. And even Nora Corbett says, she designs them, she sends them to Witchelt, and then they come, and then they get model stitchers. And that process from the time she sends it to when they're actually available for purchase is 6 to 8 months. And, creatively, she's already moved on. And so she said some of these were the first time that she had ever seen some of her patterns stitched and in person, which is just amazing to me, that you create these things that so many of us are so passionate about, and yet you don't actually get to see the final finished product of all of that. And for those of you who always worry about, what is the artist going to say if I change their work, she loves it. She said it's like a creative joint process that, she's put something out in the world, and that you take it and change it to make it yours. And she said she absolutely loves that. And I've heard most designers really say that that they have a product. I mean, obviously they want you to buy it. They don't want you to get it from the black market, but once you buy it, it's yours, and do with it as you want to do. So that was really, really nice to hear all of that from a designer. I had a chance to meet so many people. The room was sort of divided in half, because in the center of the room, they had going down the tables where they had some of the higher end giveaways, the raffle giveaways. And while it was an open room, you could certainly see across the room. You didn't, just like going in and out of the room. I was like in the back corner. You tend to pass the same tables and stop and chat with people. So the last day on Saturday, I said, okay, I'm going to go and see what people on the other side of the room were stitching. Yeah, I made it to 2 tables. I just started chatting up with you start chatting with everyone, and, people excited to see what they were stitching. I ended up meeting one woman whose husband works for the agency where I worked. And so we had a lot of conversations about that. At some point, about 10 minutes later, I looked over, and the other people at the table all had that kind of glazed look on their face, because by the time all the acronyms and everything that we used, it was sort of, we sort of laughed about it. But it was nice to meet someone who lived in the area where I lived before, and just chatting with that. So I didn't get around to all of the tables, but I had a chance to meet a lot of people, and where the tables that like around us as well, a lot of sort of younger stitchers, which is great to see. I mean, not like 18, but in their 20s and 30s, and that have that energy that, so many of the retreats, especially in Florida that I go to, they tend to be older stitchers. It's nice to see that energy in the cross stitch world. So that was lovely. All right. So they had Abby, I've now combined their names. Maggie and Amy did a phenomenal job putting the retreat together. So Maggie, aka Stitchy Whips, should we go like that? That's usually what she does. As well as Amy, Fiber Arts Amy. They did an amazing job pulling this together. They don't have a background in events planning. They just sort of came up with an idea because they wanted to meet Nora Corbett, and and ended up with 150 of their friends attending. So that was really nice. They both did an amazing job pulling this together. And so, I thank them in person, but if for some reason they're watching this video, thank you so much, Maggie and Amy. I really appreciated it. There will be a retreat in October next year. It will not be Mirabilia focused. They haven't released who the guest designer will be, but they will. I think the tickets are going to go on sale for that in January. So if you're interested, there's a Facebook group, Queen City Stitch Retreat. It's for anyone who's interested. You don't have, it's not about, it's, if you want to learn more about that, I recommend that you go over there or watch their videos. Abby, gosh, why am I saying Abby? Maggie and Amy's videos, and get more information. So with that, I'm clearly coming off my retreat high, and I have some stitching to show you, not as much as I normally do. Some of it was because of the retreat. Also, this month is my library's book sale. The Friends of the Library book sale, and I'm really active with that. So that's just been taking up a lot of my time. And in fact, it will probably be about 3 weeks before I come back and make another video, both because I may not have as much content, as well as a lot of my time will be helping with the sale, both the setup and breakdown, as well as actually working at the sale. Okay, so let me show you some stitching. I have a small finish, so let me go ahead and show you that. This is special ingredient. And so it says the special ingredient is love. Just kidding. It's cat hair. So for those of you who have pets, this is true. My cats aren't even allowed on the counter, and they're pretty good about it. But nonetheless, I'm sure there's cat hair in some of the stuff because it just floats around and never seems to fall to the ground. But love my kitties, so I tolerate it. So love this little cute design. I really like the way the cake is with those little strawberries on top. I didn't really know what I was stitching until I actually stitched it. The print off I had was horrible for this. Um, there was something wrong with the toner, and so one of the colors wasn't coming out. So couldn't really tell what those were until I stitched them. But this was a lot of fun. It was an easy stitch. I, for the most part, used follow the pattern. I did change, so this blue, these two blues here, was supposed to be 517. I changed them to 518 because the 517 was getting lost on this fabric. This is, I believe, a 16 count. I don't know if it's oatmeal or natural. It was, I had a few of these that were given to me. So that is special ingredient. And don't know exactly how I'm going to finish it. It'll be a flat fold or I'll just mount it on something, but it definitely has to go near my kitchen because you have to appreciate the humor of it. Okay, so now on to my projects that are my works in progress. So the first one I want to show you is Bag Ladies, continuing with the cat theme. So this is a old sunset kit. It was gifted to me. So I was given the fabric and the pattern, but the person had used the floss when she stitched it. So here is where it is. So I didn't do a lot on it, but I did work on basically down here. So Sunset, which is part of Dimensions, has a lot of, half stitches, full crosses. So this whole bag is like half stitch, and down here is full cross. So this is the kitty's head. It's kind of like leaning like that. So you can't really tell what it is. This is the outline of the ear. So like all Dimensions kits, it can be a little bit challenging to read the pattern. It's small, it's bulky, but once I get going on it and get used to it, and I have to say, so on my Lowry stand, I purchased the magnetic board, and that has been a game changer for patterns like that because I often have Flosstube on. So like my magnetic board is here, the TV is sort of right here, and then my stitching is here. So I have to move my head very little, and I'm sure this is going to look really weird, but I don't have whereas before I'd have it to my side and there'd be a lot of going down and it would just make me lose my place. And so I have to say, having that magnetic board, I was a bit skeptical, but it wasn't that expensive. So I'm like, just throw it in. If I'm getting the stand, I might as well just throw this accessory on. It really made a difference. So I'm really happy with that purchase, even though I have some issues with a Lowry, because it doesn't work as great for Q-snaps as I want it to, but nonetheless. All right, the next one I want to show you is 3 Dancers from Stitching Jules Designs. So she gifted me this pattern in exchange for stitching it and showing it on my channel on a regular basis. So here is where it is. So what I worked on here, basically mostly pulled the orange and a little bit over here I did. So not a huge amount. This one, I'm going to be honest, sort of, I don't want to say it's been put to the side, but I'm so focused on getting Cats in the Toy Box done that even though that is usually my evening piece, some evenings I'd pick this up, and I'm so laser focused on getting that done, you'll see it later, that this one doesn't get as much love. But then this one will come out a lot once I finish Cats in the Toy Box. So this is 3 Dancers, and this is just stitched on an 18 count Aida. All right, the next piece, I got this sign from Nora. So this is Charlotte, and this is generally what she wrote just for the person's name and whatever. If there was some special occasion, there was a person at my table, it was her 55th birthday, so she got that personalized a little bit more. I, however, had no special event, so that's what she wrote in my 2 patterns. And I had started this one in the spring because this is sorry, my mind's getting me distracted. The cat's over there doing something weird. Although this was not the official retreat piece because it's named Charlotte and the retreat was in Charlotte, a lot of people said, hey, let's work on it. So, and in fact, they had a lovely photo that they did of anyone of any stage of where you are. So some people had finished it. Some people had about 3 stitches because they started at the retreat. Other people were about halfway done. You'll see what I've done. So here is where I am. So not a huge amount, but that's sort of, I started with a center start, which was somewhere here, and then worked my way over. And so these are sort of, her knees are up. So these are her knees. And one of the things that Nora had talked about was the way, and she's got artistic training or art training, whatever. So she knows, like, if you want to make certain colors pop and how to shade and do all of that in a very professional way, that, that maybe you can figure out on your own, but if you have art training, it's more natural. So she talked about, like, sometimes doing something with a really bright color and you'll be stitching it and it'll be like a dark gray. And you're like, why am I putting this dark gray when this should be bright red or whatever? And she talked about, she said she referred to those as dead colors. And it's not that there's anything wrong with those colors, but they help the brighter colors pop even more. And that's kind of how I feel about this. Like, just the way these light pinks are, and, I haven't filled in around here, but just the way when all is said and done, you can sort of see it here, the way the light is supposed to reflect off a dress, which is probably, if you just held the fabric up in real life, one solid color. It's just fascinating to me. And I think that's why so many people like to stitch Nora's. I know a lot of people are like, oh, look at that beautiful face, and that they're nice, but that's not why I'm stitching them. I'm stitching them because even though I'm not a fashionista, I love the way the fabric drapes and just that, and the use of color and how all of that pulls together. And I really love watching this come together. So this fabric is 32 count even weave from Color and Cotton in the color Neptune. And a lot of people had picked this color for this pattern. Just randomly, if they started it beforehand, it just worked really well. All right, the next piece I have is Haunted Mansion from Tiny Modernist. I am doing this as a round robin with a group of friends of mine. And I finished the next section. And I think I have one or two more to go. And so far, I haven't had to repeat. Basically, we all just sort of, we had the framework of the house. We picked a room or a side of the house and we went at it, but there was no particular order. Like, you have to start with this room, then this room. It was do whatever your heart fancies. So I picked these trees and did that. And the fence as well. The grass under here was already done. And so there's something about this little house here that just, I really love it. So you can see it's a little bit faded here. I mean, hard to see fading in, but there's a ghost, but it's a ghost. They should fade in. They shouldn't be, totally out there. So I just love the way this pattern is coming together, and thank you, Anne, for organizing it. All right, the next one I have is Year in Hawthorne Hollow from Carriage House Samplings. And so I've done these blocks here, and now I'm working on this. And my goal is when I get these three done to chop the fabric at the bottom, because it's I think I don't know, I think it's a fat half, and while it needed more than a fat quarter, it didn't need a full fat half. So I'll be looking forward, but I'm always afraid to cut it because what if I cut it wrong or something? So anyhow, this is the November block, so I'm seeing the light at the end of the tunnel for this. So I almost finished this turkey. This yellow color here, I deliberately left it until the end because now once I get this black thing here, this black line done here, all of this will be fill in, and then, but so that yellow then comes and has to go into that turkey as well. But that turkey is done except for that yellow. I need to cap this acorn because I know when I use this color, I probably missed this acorn, so I have to go back and cap it. And then I need to do the bee. A little bit more of these, whatever these are, wheat stalks, corn stalks, I don't know what they are. And that bring down that border and I'm done. So really, really not a huge amount. I'm sure everyone says this about a Hawthorne Hollow, but there's a lot more stitching in those blocks than you think. And the next one I have to do is full coverage because I'll do the December block next. So that is a year in Hawthorne Hollow. All right, the next piece is one I haven't pulled out in a while. This is Swan Lake from Owl Forest Embroidery. I'm using all of the kit materials. Here is where it is. So I worked on the bottom of the pattern. I was kind of silly, and I had like this little bit of this green thing done, put the Q-snap on, and thought I would go over this way and hit the edge. I don't know what I was thinking. I must have thought this motif was on the edge, even though I'm staring at the pattern. There's a whole nother flower here. I didn't get that. So I went over and started working on the dancers instead. So one dancer almost done, still need to do a little bit more on her, and then you can see there's 4 dancers there, so I've got one almost done, one partially done, the legs on one, and one has not been done at all. A fun stitch. I really enjoy working on that just because I have so many projects going on right now, it doesn't get pulled out that much. All right, the next one I have is Huckleberry Farm from the Blue Flower. A little bit sad because this was supposed to be the weekend that there was going to be a retreat in the Tampa area. So a couple hours drive for me. And I was supposed to attend, and unfortunately it got canceled because there wasn't enough attendance. So a little bit sad. I still am going to have my quest one day to meet Janine McGowan because love the Blue Flower, love her patterns. Just a little bit hard because she's more of I think she lives in Nevada, so she's a West Coast person, so I know it's expensive to bring her over to the East Coast. And this is out of the Q-Snap, so I'm going to first start here and show you where I am. I have hit now that where that vine goes down, that is the bottom of the pattern. So again, a lot of fabric I can cut off and use for something else, which is great because this is 32 count linen from Pictures Plus, colorway Whimsy, and I love this color, and I often get asked when people see pictures, oh, what is that fabric? It is lovely. So what I did this time, I'm just going to fold it up so I can show it a little better, is I worked on that vine. So did the vine, that little chipmunk there, pulled it out of the Q-Snap, said, oh, I'm done, and realized up here there's supposed to be a little bee. I had actually put in the white of the wings, and because that color was used, I think actually in the chipmunk. And then but then the other 2 colors weren't used, and I was so focused on getting the vine done that I didn't even think about going back and filling that in until after I pulled it out. Whenever I do these motifs here, I mean, that's probably 10 stitches, I'll just pick it up. It is Pictures Plus, it's very flimsy. I really needed to be in the Q-Snap, and I wasn't going to put the Q-Snap back on just to hit that little bee. So I will pick it up later. So that is Huckleberry Farm from the Blue Flower. Next one I have, of course, I took Portrait of Veronica to the retreat. This is another Mirabilia pattern. And this is the first Mirabilia I purchased, and the one I'm furthest along with. So basically I worked on her dress over here. So a lot of this white went in, some of this stuff down here. I had some of this done, but there were some gaps that were not beads that I filled in the colors there. And I think I put in some of the Krynic, so a little bit more of the Krynic, and then I will be done with the Krynic in this pattern. It just sort of is here. You can sort of see, I think there'll be Krynic there. And then I'll be done with the Krynic in this pattern. I made a poor choice and I went for the wrong thickness of braid, so it's a little bit thick going in. It's okay. It's not a huge amount. Okay, and then the last piece I have to show you is Cats in the Toy Box. So this is charted by Heaven and Earth Designs, artwork by Leslie Ann Ivory. And here's where it is. So getting so close. This is basically the last move of the Q-Snap. I have a little bit on the side I need to do, but I'll do that at the very end. So pulling in colors to the basket, just filling in. The kitty's tail is starting to get more. Again, going back to sort of what Nora Corbett was saying about how you utilize colors and what the overall thing looks like. This color here is 3363. And I have a tabby. I stare at her. That's never a color I would pull out to use for her. Not that I can create cross stitch patterns. But it's the way everything blends together that is just really impressive. You can kind of see it here. There's a lot of light blues and light greens in this kitty, and yet the image that comes out is more beige and gray and other things. Just amazing. This penguin has a lot done. I put in some on this wooden toy. I have a little over 3,000 stitches. I am really hoping this will be done by the next time I do a video. This is my evening stitch, so it's something that I will do even when it's something I will do even in the evenings, even if I'm doing all my stuff at the library or the book sale. I think all my shifts finish by 3 o'clock. So come home, relax, have dinner, and then stitch on this because I really, really want this done. I love it. I took this to the retreat because I really hoped, I really wanted to show it to a friend of mine who unfortunately got ill and wasn't able to make it. But I took it there and then I promptly left my tablet at home, so didn't actually work on it. That's okay. I wasn't going to get a huge amount of progress there anyhow. I really wanted to focus on my miras. And so but I did show it to people. I mean, it wasn't a full coverage retreat, so some people, were like, whatever. I mean, not that they had that attitude, but like some people knew I had this and they really wanted to see it. So, all right. That is it for the stitching. I realized at the beginning, I forgot to say one thing that I also was really excited about with the retreat. So Catherine, the Needleberry Stitcher, was there, had dinner with her one night. She is fabulous. Really, really enjoyed talking with her. She also had a lot of, she took games. I've done this at other like icebreaker things, but it's been, since I've been retired, I haven't had things like that. So haven't participated in a while. I'm sure like they're, quiz nights at pubs and bars, they do this as well. It's now all electronic. But basically, they post a question. You go to a website, they post a question. It's also on your phone. And then you answer there. And you have, I don't know, maybe a minute to answer it. And then once you answer it, then you, once you answer it, you have a chance to, have score. And it's both a combination and all multiple choice for the most part. Once you enter that, it's time and that. So I don't know my miras. I'm going to be honest. I like stitching them, but I don't study them. I don't have a huge collection like a lot of people. So let's just say we played that kind of game twice. And the second time, there were about 100 people playing. And I think I was like 92nd, 94th. So you can see where I fit in that. And I did answer every question. I'm sure if you quit and give up or you're having technical difficulties, I know one person at my table was, like that makes you towards the end. But no, I just really was that bad. I think that round I was slow and I was still getting and I think I got either 2 or 3 questions correct. So my bad. Okay, so thank you, Catherine, for that. Okay, now I'm going to show you, first of all, I'm going to see if I can get her in the frame. Kyle. Of course, that's when she chooses to go behind the TV. Well, that was a lot of dizziness for not much cat. Sorry about that. But if you hear something crashing, that's probably her doing something with the TV. So anyhow, with that, that is all of the stitching I am going to show you. I have a lot of other stuff I want to show you related to stitching, but not my actual stitching yet. So if that's all you're here for, thank you so much for stopping by. And now I'm going to show you, this is, I have it stacked up in certain ways. So it's a combination of purchases and gifts. So I'm just going to go through the pile as it's there. So the first thing was a gift that was given, and I'm not showing everything, lots of floss drops and other things, which I'm not going to show because we will be here all day. But I do want to show this. This is a needle book that was gifted to us. And, so several pages, and you can put your needles in there. It's also felt, so if you wanted to put orts and stuff in there. And then we have a pin as well with the crown. And, the whole thing is sewed. There's a little pocket if you want to put things there. And then she also stitched the cover of this. And all the stitches were a little bit different. Mine says Queen City 2023. But I'm just always amazed by, the amount of work that people put into this. So, and this was not, sometimes you just do it for people at your table. This was someone who was not at my table or my little orbit in my side of the room. And yet she gave everyone one of these. So it was so beautiful. So unfortunately, I don't remember your name, but thank you so much. This is amazing. Also got some needle minders. See if you can see those. Stitching because adulting is hard. Craft order. So always can use a good needle minder. All right, not related to the retreat, and I actually purchased these a while ago, but forgot to show them in my last video, so I'm showing them now. So I went to Long Dog Samplers and purchased a couple of those because I really wanted Saga, which I'll show next. But this is Pavan for these times. And this says, oh, there are my glasses. This says, turn your face to the sun and the shadows will fall behind you. So I think, I'm sure you've seen this one before. A lot of people have it. A lot of people have stitched it. But I like the message and I like the pattern. So I got it. But what I really, really wanted was Saga, which I inadvertently called one of my videos 27 arches, which someone counted, and I think there are 27. And I'm going to put this, I think, I'm missing one of my colors. There it is. I think this is the color palette. These colors that I'm going to use. If I can hold them, put this down. These colors. So my idea is to do the actual arches and what will be stonework or whatever in this 823. And then use these three colors as the motifs in the arches. And my idea is not to, within each motif, pick one of these colors. It's just do the whole thing. So within each arch, it will be monochromatic. I'm not totally sold on this, but I did take these 4 colors with me to the retreat, and I bought a piece of fabric that I'll show you in a little bit. It's buried towards the bottom of my pile. But really, really love that pattern. So Grace Nest Fabrics was the official vendor at the retreat for patterns and fabrics. And then she also had some beads and Karen Water Lily and stuff. But really it was mostly fabric because that's what they're known for. But then patterns as well. So I picked up red. I've been eyeing this for a long time. And so I finally decided to click cha-ching and buy this. Amy and Maggie, and I had to now think about it. Their names are not Abby together. Amy and Maggie solicited donations from various vendors, and so we got raffle tickets, which I'll talk about in a little bit. But every single person got had their name on a list, and as long as you attended the retreat, they called out your name and you got something. So it wasn't like go pick what you want. It was here's your prize, and they sort of said, here's what you get. If you want to trade with someone, great. The only exception was if it was like a Christmas related one and you don't celebrate Christmas. Or, I'm sure if it was a Halloween one and you're really opposed to Halloween. I don't know if anything like that happened behind the scenes. But they were they didn't want to be in a situation where they would do that. They'd have to be come and pick and whatever. So, and they did they would stop and do this for 20 minutes or so, and then next, but everyone knew you were going to get something, so it wasn't oh my gosh, I'm lucky or whatever. So and some people were really lucky. Someone got one of her unicorn charts that she had really wanted. But they also went to other vendors who were not other donors who were not necessarily mirabilia related. So some fabric donations, some online shops. So what I got was fawn, this fabric. It's a fat quarter and 32 count linen. So a nice neutral color. So, and there were also a lot of individuals who just donated charts. And I'm going to pause a little bit here and talk also about the raffle. So there was that where everyone who attended. So there were some people who were unable to attend for whatever reason and their names were pulled out. But for everyone who attended, we all got at least one thing. There was also a separate raffle which had a lot of unicorn charts. So Lady the Flag, all 4 of the seasonal queens, Fairy Idol, Touching the Autumn Sky. There was also 4 needle minders, clay by Kim. Melissa from Sheba Designs had designed. There was a retreat bag, and then there was also a bag that she made specifically for the retreat. So it was one of a kind. It was hand embroidered. It was really pretty. And then you could buy raffle tickets for that. You got 12 of them in your welcome packet. And so they raised over $5,200 for a local animal shelter. So that was really lovely. And Allie Z helped with, she was the raffle guru who was selling tickets and keeping track of everything. I did not win anything from that. I'm totally fine with it. I'm fine that I spent money that was helping the animals in that area, especially since they were in the process of moving the shelters and needed to raise more money than usual. But there were some really nice prizes in that. I was really hoping for a Lady of the Flag. I put a few tickets within, in other areas, and then really stuffed the box for that. But there were some people who really bought tickets, and some of them got a couple things. But my attitude is that's the way a raffle works. You buy more tickets, you get more. It's not like the prizes at the beginning where someone got 10 and someone got nothing. There are people who bought more raffle tickets, and yes, they were lucky, but they stacked the deck, and that's okay. So anyhow, I did not get my dream chart. I will keep looking for it. Okay, so the next, I did also get some Grace Knits fabric. So this is the color Nora. This is a 32 count even weave. So this is the piece that she dyed for the retreat. It's not meant for the retreat piece per se. But it's a really lovely color, right in my wheelhouse. And then I also bought this. This is a 20 count Lugana. And this, I am pretty sure, and this is a fat half, I am pretty sure this is what I'm going to do for my saga. So that's why I took, this is really coming out orange. This is much paler than it's coming out right now for you. When I hold this up, it wants to make everything really warm. These colors are a little bit more neutral. So like this color, that's 722. So these are the, and so I'm not 100% sold. I will think about it for a while. Probably start, I thought about, I don't want to do black or brown for the arches. I thought about doing like a dark gray, but then I also like the navy, and this is 823. So it is dark, but not as dark as it's coming there. So that is what I plan to do for that. And then Amy, Fiber Arts Amy, has started a company, and I'm going to get the name wrong, I think. Oak Crown. I could be wrong. I don't know. She was not in the room selling fabrics, but those of us who have watched her video and know that she is selling it, if we approached her, she invited us up to her room. She didn't want to compete directly with Grace Notes. I mean, they knew this was going on, but she didn't want to have her own table to take away sales from Grace Notes. But I knew about it, so I went to her room and looked at her lovely fabric selection. She's relatively new with her company. It's maybe a month old. I mean, she's been dyeing fabric for a long time. If you watch any of her videos, she'll be like, this is something I dyed. So she's been dyeing for herself for a long time. So this is nothing new. But I got 3 pieces of fabric, all 32 count Lugana. Well, 2 of them are 32 count Lugana. So this is the first one, Fairy Moon. So a very lilac, lovely color. This is also a 32 count Lugana, and it's indigo and turmeric. And she has a whole video on the process of dyeing indigo. So, and she did warn me this particular, like the other pieces, I don't know if they're really color fast, but she said this one, she made a point to say this really isn't color fast. So if you have any idea about washing it, wash it beforehand to make sure that you get it to the color you want. I don't tend to wash my over-dyed fabrics or hand-dyed fabrics, so that's okay for me. I try really hard to keep a clean hands. And then the last piece I have is a piece of Monaco, and it's one of a kind, but I just love that color. It is sort of that seafoamy with some yellow undertones to it. Really, really pretty. I've never actually stitched on Monaco, so that will be fun. Okay, for the project bags. So someone came and gifted this to me. This is from a friend of mine who I sat next to at my last retreat, and we knew that we were going to be there. So she made me a lovely bag, vinyl front bag. Love the pattern, the fabric inside, pretty colors in the back. And then she also gave me an Ort catcher. So it's all nice and flat. And of course, and then the bottom pops out. You can see I've got some Orts in there. It's kind of hard to see with all the bright colors in there. But I need to remove those Orts and put them in my little Ort collection. So thank you so much for that gift. Also, the very first day, someone at my table came and gave all of us bags as well. So this is made from Susan from Criminally Creative. I don't think she sells these. She has a full-time job. Lovely, lovely fabric. Love the way those little birds look. They're really funny. So thank you, Susan. And then the last two were ones that I purchased. This is so Melissa from Sheba Designs. So this is Australia. So I know Anzac is going into here because Anzac currently is in a plastic bag. And so that is a full fabric on both sides. And then she also had vinyl bags. So that's the inside. And then it's Teresa Kogut fabric, I believe. So, all right, that is all I have to show you on the purchases. I'm going to hold on for 1 second because my cat is dying to get out of this room. The cat has been liberated. The door was open like this much, but she doesn't get the concept that she can just sort of push her way through. She doesn't understand about opening doors. Love her, but not the brightest bulb not the brightest bulb. So, all right, so that is all I have for stitching. I have a book recommendation. I don't have any television recommendations this time. So my book recommendation is Evil Eye from Itaf Room. I think that's how she says her name. The author herself is the children of Palestinian immigrants. So she was born in the U.S. and raised and educated here. This is her second novel that she has published, and it focuses on the life. So the lead character is also a daughter of Palestinian immigrants, so born in the U.S., and she's raised in Brooklyn, but in a fairly sheltered life. So she goes to a private school, and so basically a private girls' school, and she has an arranged marriage, and she gets married at like 20. So she goes from living at home to immediately living with her husband, and they have 2 daughters, and she has some childhood trauma, and she's really unhappy, but she really can't put her finger on why. And she is, her mother told her when she was young, about like someone can put a curse on you and there is nothing you can do about it. And so there's a part of her that wonders if she is cursed. But having said that, the man that she marries, he provides for her. She had said very clearly, like before they got married, even though it was an arranged marriage, she had said, I really want to get a college education. And he supported that, which her parents really didn't, or her father really didn't. And so she, that was sort of a condition of her to get married. So she got her college degree, and the book starts about 10 years after, like her 10th anniversary happens in the book, after she gets married. And she is clearly suffering from depression, but she doesn't really know the origin of it. And she, on the surface, she has a good life. She has 2 healthy daughters. She has a husband who provides for her. They have a house. She has a job that allows her to, it's a part-time job, so it allows her to leave work at 3:00 so she can go pick up her kids every day. And sort of on the surface, everything is fine, but she's really unhappy and she can't figure out why. And she has anger issues, and she lashes out at a colleague. And so she's required to go to counseling at the college where she works and uncover a little bit of the issues she has, why she has these anger issues. It's very well written. I think it touches upon a lot of issues that, the author is writing from where she knows, and because she is the child of Palestinian immigrants, that's the culture in the United States that she knows. But the themes that she touches on crosses all cultures. Maybe you don't live in a culture where you're cursed or have an evil eye or anything, but childhood trauma, or depression, or being in a marriage where, again, her husband, he's not a bad guy. He doesn't beat her. He doesn't, he doesn't have a gambling problem. He doesn't have addiction. He doesn't have, he comes home. He's not, cheating on her. I mean, overall, he's not a bad guy, but he also dismisses her problems, says it's all in your head. Why are you so unhappy? You're blaming me for everything. And you find out later some other things. But that I think is very real, that some people, there's clinical depression, and then there's also situational depression, and you sort of start to get to the root of why, maybe she is clinically depressed, but maybe she's also situationally depressed, and you start to get to the root of that. So I found this very interesting. Her other book, A Woman Is No Man, I enjoyed it a little bit more, but I still thought this one was quite good as well. So I recommend Evil Eye. So that is all I have for you today. Sorry this was a bit disjointed, and I'm not great at editing, so unfortunately I'm not going to be able to get the thing with the cat out. I really wish there was a way I could flip the camera on this while I'm filming, so that you could, I can flip the camera when I start filming, but I can't flip the camera in the middle of filming, if that makes sense. And she was literally like right there for about half the video, and then she decided to go around, so sorry about that. So that's all I have. I'm getting a frog in my throat, so it's definitely time to go. I hope to be back in 3 weeks or so happy stitching, everyone.